The coronavirus pandemic has accelerated the pace of digitalization across all aspects of our lives. From contact tracing and food delivery apps to shopping, virtual gatherings and healthcare services, it wouldn't be a stretch to say that we are now living our lives online. But every move we make, we're leaving trails of personal information that tech firms are actively collecting through our phones, smartwatches, speakers, and any connected device. In recent years, digital privacy has been a major concern for most societies as consumers find out that the social media apps and the virtual platforms they enjoyed free of charge did come with a price tag after all. Their identities, movements, preferences, friends, and purchase histories all being stored and potentially shared and used for purposes they may not be so comfortable with. We discuss just how much big tech knows about us and how people can regain control over their own personal data as we're headed towards an even more digital new normal. For this, we connect with Rob Shavel, co-founder and CEO of Arirang and Delete Me, which are privacy protection apps. We're also joined by Alistair McTaggart, board chair and founder of Californians for Consumer Privacy. Very warm welcome to you both. Thank you for joining us. And well, let's start with you, Rob. Now, some say that there's a symbiotic win-win relationship between big tech and consumers, as some users give up some personal data to benefit from the convenience and connectivity of the digital services we use today. But is this really a fair trade-off? I mean, how much do big tech companies actually know about us, and can we trust them as the caretakers of all this information and data that they have on us?
Well, I don't think it's a win-win. I think it's a lose-win. And as has been said many times, if you're getting a free service, you probably are the product. And what that means is your digital data is the product. And as you just noted, especially during COVID and a pandemic, we are living our lives online, which means that we're giving more and more of our data as the product to big tech companies. And that is a problem.
And Alistair, I know you have similar views on this. Now, internet companies, though, they say that users benefit from their services and that actually restricting data usage will block their innovation. And it looks like many people in California disagreed. And you actually pushed through Proposition 24 last year, despite a campaign by Facebook to really dismantle your efforts. Which aspects of Prop 24 are you most proud of? And what do you think really is the next step as we move towards a more digital future?
Well, I think that Prop 24, like most of the good privacy laws around the world, just gives you certain basic things, the right to see what information these companies have collected, the right to delete it, the right to correct it, a requirement that the information is kept safe by the company. It gives the new right to say, don't use my sensitive personal information. You don't need to know my religion or my health information to sell me something online. I think the question you asked at the beginning is the company saying, hey, look, we need to have all this information in order to offer you these great new products. In general, that is just a line from industry. They don't. They don't need to know what you've done on 25 different sites in order to do the thing that they're doing. So Facebook doesn't actually need to know what you've been buying, or whether you were at the bar last night, or what your health status is, to send you news. So I really feel like this is a story that businesses want to have you believe. But the reality is all that innovation can keep on going, and you can have your privacy as well.
And of course, Alistair, actions, they speak louder than words. And companies like Facebook, they've said that they are committed to protecting user privacy. But are you getting that from their actions? And why is it so hard to really make sure that they are keeping accountable and being transparent with us?
Well, look, the reality is that for certain of these companies, Facebook, Google, we are the fuel that fuels their growth, right? We're the gas in their engine, and unlike other companies, which maybe sell, like Apple sells hardware. In general, Apple is not trying to monetize your data, but some companies where their whole kind of function is to actually get as much information about you and to essentially to sell it for advertising. They don't want any restrictions on what they can do with your information. And so, for example, whether or not you're a Facebook customer, whether or not you're logged in, Facebook is still collecting everything you do on basically every website you ever visit. Same thing for Google. And most people don't know that. And they think, okay, when I'm on the site, they're collecting information. No, it's not true. When you're on every other site. So their actions kind of emphasize what their real mission is. And I feel like we, the people, are in many countries, Europe, Japan, New Zealand, Australia, we're now saying, hey, look, we want to take back control of our information.
And it was rather surprising to see for me, just on my phone, on the Android app, that they had measured how much time I spend on each app. And as for Google, where I've been, the places I've been around the world, they'd even made a little map out of it back from 2014. So it seems like nowadays we leave traces of ourselves everywhere through data, and more increasingly through images and videos, whether we're video calling family or we're on the street being filmed by security cameras or even inadvertently lurking in someone else's selfie. So Rob, what new challenges to privacy do you think are going to arise with the growing use of audiovisuals like videos and photos on social media?
Well, I think there's a ton of them. And, I think the use of facial recognition, the fact that all of big tech is promoting products that are constantly listening to us, trying to have us use our voices to make commands, is just the tip of the iceberg, really, in terms of where they're trying to go. And they're trying to not only enter these markets, big new markets like your house, your car, the city that you live in. They are trying to connect all of the information they already have from our email, from our cell phone, to these new environments where we live, where we work, where we spend our time, and where we are at home with our families. And that connection of digital data, our digital footprint across these domains, which gave us some amount of privacy through just being compartmentalized, just being separated, is where the tech industry is going. And as Alistair has said, either you're an advertising company or you're not. And if you are an advertising company and you are in big tech, you are going one direction, which is you want to get as much data from as many points of time in our lives as you possibly can. And that is the trajectory that is happening. And the only way to stop it is through reclaiming our data, through petitioning our government to enact laws and to use sensible privacy technologies to get back control over what we've lost.
And Alistair, a growing number of countries, they have been adopting the opt-out option of sharing cookies or tracing of your online activities and such. But if we don't continue using certain digital services or products, or deny them access to certain information, we might end up missing out on our friends or communities, and now work and schooling as well over the course of the pandemic. So do consumers really have a choice in this?
I think let me just be brief, and Alistair should jump in. I think they really do. And this proposition that we can have one but not the other, we can have the ability to educate our children but not have privacy, is a false choice that the lobbyists in the technology industry is trying to use their public relations firms to message to us. But it's really incorrect, and we can have control of our data and the ability to use any digital service and connect with each other as much as we want with a reasonable amount of control of our data. We had that before, and there's no reason why we can't have it now.
And what are your thoughts on this, Alistair?
Well, I think, when you think about if you think about ads, there are two types of ads. One's called contextual and one's called behavioral. Now, contextual is I'm searching for Hyundai cars, and I see an ad, Google puts an ad for the car dealership where I can buy the Hyundai beside me. That's actually very privacy protective. And when I'm older than you are, but when you think about the technology of the old advertising, when you just had to put something on TV, that's miles better. And that actually is the technology that built Google and Facebook into these massive companies. It's only recently, maybe the last 5, 6, 7 years, where they've gotten good at the whole, oh no, I'm going to know everything about you, and I am going to try to track down what you're doing on all these different sites. So I can know maybe if you're running out of money towards the end of the month, or if you're having a bad time in your relationship, or if you're ill here. And then I can start showing you ads that lead you places you didn't even know you were going. And I'm going to track everything you're doing. Now that we don't need in order to have the internet. And that is a creepy kind of behavior when I can anticipate and I can try and lead you a place you're not even thinking of going. So I agree with Rob that this is a false dichotomy. Industry keeps on saying, oh, if you don't let us do everything, you won't have any internet. It's not true. There's a lot of ways to pay for the internet that worked for years and years. For the first 25 years of the internet, they will keep on working. This new activity is the part that's creepy, and that's what we're trying to get a handle on and try to get control of.
Right, actually trying to anticipate our needs and tell us what we're going to want instead of really listening to the consumers. And Alistair, now big tech companies are solidifying their presence in our physical world. As mentioned before, picking up on our voices, preferences, beginning with smart speakers, smartphones, and they're now going to expand into healthcare and self-driving cars, and they're actually even working on entire smart cities. Is this a future that we're going to have to be worried about? What kind of protection do you think is needed?
Well, Rob was talking about facial recognition. I do think, look, I'm not anti-technology, but I am. Just imagine a world where I could put on glasses and I could walk down the street and I can know everything about you. I could know if you're late on your home payment. I could know where you live, how much money you earn. I can know if you have children or not, where they go to school. It's a kind of a weird world, right? So what I'm trying to do is I'm part of a movement that actually is millions of people around the world who are concerned about this. And I'm trying to say, look, we have to have limits. Again, we can't just say no more technology, because that's not the world we live in. But we should be able to say, I get to choose when I do business with a website. If I'm listening to music and I think I'm going somewhere to listen to music, that doesn't mean that I want hundreds of companies to use that, not only to see what I'm doing on that site, but then to use it as a way onto my phone to watch what I'm doing on other apps as well, which is what happens now. So you would never turn over this much information to any other person, and yet we all do it every day, all day long with our phones. That's what these laws will help us draw clear lines so that we get control of our data back.
And Rob, the same question to you. With these major tech companies really penetrating our daily lives more than ever before and set up to become even more ubiquitous in the near future, should we be worried? And also, what are some efforts you're making to actually help people gain control of their data?
Yeah, well, I do think people are worried, and I think that the new laws that are that are happening globally, in Europe, the GDPR, of course, in California and in other states in the U.S., thanks to Alistair and others' efforts, we are gaining momentum globally around laws that curtail and give consumers rights to understand their data, what's happening to it, where it's being used, how it's being used, can they correct it, can they opt out, can they delete it? These are things that are not just happening in any one country. They're sweeping all across the world, even in China. In the recent in the last 6 months, there's been a personal information law put on the books. So I think that what is happening is a reflection of the fact that every citizen in almost every country is now aware that the cat is out of the bag and technology has maybe gone too far in terms of the data it can gather. So I think that is a good thing, that there's an awareness that is now seeing the light of day in terms of regulation and law. And I think the next step is to marry the new rights that consumers have across many countries in the world with technologies that can help them actualize their rights, can help them take those new rights and make them enforceable in their daily lives. And that's something that we, with our Delete Me service and our other products, try to do. And I am proud to say, not just our company at Avon, but there are many, many companies springing up, startups founded by energetic young people that understand this is a growing problem all over the world. And I think it's an exciting time for privacy and for consumers in a way, because the problem is so bad.
Well, that's where we must leave the discussion for today. That was Rob Shavel, co-founder and CEO of Avon and Delete Me, and Alistair McTaggart, board chair and founder of Californians for Consumer Privacy. Thank you very much for your insights.
Thank you so much.
And to our viewers, as always, thank you very much for watching.